start recording. Sorry, kalimutan ko. Anyway, and so the lecture note is already uploaded. And okay, so the system analysis and design is also under the system integration and architecture. So this will be our introduction, the system analysis and design. By the way, do you have any subject na with system analysis and design? Wala pa. So ngayon pa lang. So basically, the system analysis and design, these are used for developing a system. So systems development is systematic process which includes the phases such as planning, analysis, design, development, and maintenance. There are some methodologies that you will be using later on with regards with these phases. So we have the system analysis and then we have the system design. So what is systems analysis? So systems analysis is the process of collecting and interpreting facts, identifying the problems, and the composition of a system into a components. So like I said, when you're creating a system, you should know the problems. You have to identify the problems, and then from that problem, identify also the solution for that system. To do that, you have to analyze first in order for you to come up with a solution. So system analysis is conducted in the purpose of studying a system or its parts in order to identify the objectives. So in here, there will be a data gathering so that you will able to analyze the data, and then after analyzing the data, you can already identify the problems and then come up with the solution. So it is a problem solving technique that improves the system and ensures that all the components of the system works efficiently to accomplish their purpose. And then we have the system design. So after the analysis, here comes the design. It is a process of planning a new business system or replacing an existing system by defining its component or modules to satisfy the specific requirements. By the way, when we say system, there are systems that are manually done, or they call it the traditional system or the manual system, and then we have the computerized or computerized system, or they call it also the proposed system. So for the system design, so it is a process of planning a new business systems or replacing the existing system by defining its components or modules to satisfy these specific requirements, or based from the problem. So the system design should have a solution for that problem. So before planning, you need to understand the old system thoroughly and determine how computers can best be used in order to operate efficiently. So this system design focuses on how to accomplish the objective of the system. So later on, by the way, do you have a capstone already? Capstone project?
No capstone project as yet for me. Just second semester. Next semester,
Ah,
capstone.
okay. So next semester you will be having your capstone, and then
Capstone.
yeah. In this subject, you will be creating a sample document. Uh, that document is the manuscript of your capstone project. Parang that is an example. So like I said, in this subject, you will be creating a system, but not only a system, but you will be creating also or writing a manuscript or document. So meron kayong document, and then you have the system. So what is okay? System analysis and design mainly focuses on the system process, and then we have the technology. So what is a system? A system, the word system is derived from the Greek word systema, which means an organized relationship between any set of components to achieve some common cause or objectives. The system is orderly grouping in independent components like together according to a plan to achieve the specific goal. We have the constraints of a system. A system must have three basic components. So first we have the structure and behavior, and then we have the interconnectivity and interdependence, and then we have the objectives of the organization. Yeah. So those are the basic three components. So for example, traffic management system, payroll system, automatic library system, human resource information system. So these are an example of a information management system or information system. So properties of a system. The systems has the following properties. First, you should have an organization, or the system should have an organization. An organization implies the structure and order. It is the arrangement of components that helps to achieve the predetermined objectives. We have the interaction. It is defined by the manner in which the components operate with each other. So these are the procedure. So for example, in an organization, purchasing department must interact with the production department, and payroll with the personnel department. So parang protocol. They call it the protocol, or the rules and regulation, or the flow of the system. And then we have the interdependence. Interdependence means how the components of a system depend on one another for proper function or functioning. The components are coordinated and linked together according uh, to a specified plan. The output of one subsystem is required by other subsystems as input. What are example of subsystem? For example, in enrollment system, for the enrollment system, we have subsystems. For example, the assessment system, the ID system, the library system, and you have the cashiering for the cashier, assessment, and so on. So we have subsystems for the big systems or system. And then we have the integration. Integration is concerned with how a system components are connected together. It means that the parts of the system work together within the system, even if each part performs a unique function. So we have the integration. Next is we have the central objective. The objective of system must be central. It may be real or stated. It is not uncommon for an organization or to state an objective and operate to achieve another. So the user must know the main objective of the computer application early in the analysis for a successful design and conversion. After the analysis, you will come up with an objective, and then based from that objective, you will come up with a solution, and that solution is the features of your system or the proposed system. Elements of a system. So the following diagram shows the elements of the system. So first you have the control, and then here we have the IPO, the input, process, and output, and then you have the feedback. So if there's any correction, any error that should be corrected, then it will go back again to your input and process that and come out with the output. So once the system is correct, you don't have any problem, then you can implement implement already your system. So we have the boundaries and interfaces. Output and inputs. So we have the input and output. The main aim of the system is to provide an output which is useful for its user. Inputs are the information that enters into the system for processing. Output is the outcome of the processing. By the way, for the IPO, there are a lot of format for this one, but based from our reference, the inputs are the information or the data that you will be entering and then come up with an output. For example, your name. For example, the output is student information. Okay? The student information. So what are the data that are in the student information? You have the name, the ID, the address, what else? You have the civil status, the subjects enrolled, the grades, and so on. So those are the example of the input or the data. And then the output is the process. So when you gather all the data from the input, then process it. So the output is, for example, is the student information. Processors. The processor is the element of a system that involves the actual transmission of input into output. This is operational component of a system. Processors may modify the input either total or partial depending on the output specification. As the output specification change, so does the processing. In some cases, input is also modified to enable the processor for handling the transformation. In other references, what are examples of processor? Example, saving, printing, deleting, and you will be needing some information or some data for that record. So for example, you need to have the ID so that you can retrieve the data. Okay, retrieving is the process. Those are example of the processor or process. And then we have the control. So the control element guides the system. So it is the decision-making subsystem that controls the pattern of the activities governing input, processing, and output. The behavior of a computer system is controlled by the operating system and software. In order to keep the system in balance, what and how much input is needed is determined by the output specifications. For the controls, in other references, they call it the hardware. Okay? And in other references, the operating system. In other references, the application itself or the system itself. So those are the controls. Okay? But in here, okay, so for example, the decision-making subsystem that controls the pattern. So it involves now the logic or the what do you call that one? Algorithm. Okay. Next is we have the feedback. Feedback provides the control in a dynamic system. Positive feedback is routine in nature that encourages the performance of the system. So negative feedback is information in nature that provides the controller with information for action. Uh, Once you have already your system, then there should be some evaluation or testing, and then from that evaluation or testing, you can have an overview of your system if that is 100% working already. But if in case that there are some corrections, then it will go back to the input. So output, then if you have any corrections, any correction in your system or any additional features in the system, then it will go back to the input again. So that is the feedback. Environment. The environment is the super system within which organization operates. It is the source external elements that strikes on the system. It determines how the system must function. For example, vendors, competitors of organization environment may provide constraints that affects the actual performance of the business. So environment, those for example, yung mga tao, yung the user of the system, manpower of the system, budget, okay, competitors, and so on. Those are example of environment. Boundaries and interface. The system should be defined by the boundaries. Boundaries are the limit that identify its component, process, and interrelationship when it interface or interfaces with another system. Each system has boundaries that determine its sphere or influence and control. Okay, so another example of this one, or an example of this one, the knowledge of the boundaries of a given system is crucial in determining the nature of its interface with the other system for successful design. Okay, example here, there are some user types. For example, if you are admin, then you can control, you can have the access for all the subsystems. Okay, but for example, if you are just a staff, and that is your user type is staff, then you can just view maybe, or you can add some information in your database. Parang ganun. What do you call, level of access. So level of access, we have different level of access for the boundaries. Then aside from that, not only that, it also limits the ano? Okay, so for example, the components, process, and interrelationship. There are some components, or there are some processes that are not available to everyone. Okay, there are some process, or there are some components that are only accessible by a specific function. So that is the boundaries and interfaces. Another example of the boundaries and interfaces, if you think that it's not included in your system, and there will be a additional feature of that system that can be incorporated in your system, then you can put that in your boundaries. They call it limitations. Okay, limitations. Don't worry, I'll be discussing this one when you will be creating your document already. Okay. Types of system. The system can be divided into following types: physical or abstract system, open and closed system. We have the adaptive and non-adaptive system, permanent and temporary system, natural and manufactured system, deterministic and probabilistic system, probabilistic, tama, system for the probability, social human machine system, man-made information system, information formal information system, formal information system, informal information system, and computer-based system. Konti na lang. Okay, so let me finish this one. So physical and abstract system. Physical exams are tangible entities. We can touch and feel them. Parang hardware. Physical system may be static or dynamic in nature. For example, desk and chair are the physical parts of the computer center, which are static. The program computer is a dynamic system in which the program, data, and application can be changed according to the user needs. Abstract systems are non-physical entities or conceptual that may be formulas, representation of a model or a real system. Yun. Based from here, the physical system, it includes the hardware because you can touch and you can feel the system. For example, the desk, the chair, and so on. So those are examples of an object. Open or closed system. An open system must interact with the environment. It receives input from the delivers output to output to the outside of the system. For example, an information system which must adapt to the changing environment condition. A closed system does not interact with the environment. Okay. We have the open system and then we have the closed system. There are some open systems. These open systems are, if there are some changes in the process and it should be upgraded, parang open systems are upgradable. Pwede mo siyang i-upgrade. But for the closed system, if there are some changes in the organization or if you need some additional feature in your system, you cannot do that in a closed system. Kasi na siya eh. That is static system. Okay? But more on, the system should be flexible. So you will be creating a flexible system. And your system should be open system. So meaning it will depend on the environment. So if we have a new technology, then your system could adapt or can adapt in the new environment. That is the open system. Adaptive and non-adaptive system. Adaptive system responds to the change in the environment in a way to improve their performance and to survive. For example, human being, animals. Non-adaptive system is the system which does not respond to the environment. For example, machine. Parang for the adaptive system, with life, pag meron siyang buhay, with life, that is adaptive system. Pag wala siyang buhay, for example, machine, that is non-adaptive system. Permanent and temporary system. Permanent system persists for long time. For example, business policies. Temporary system is made for a specified time and after that they are demolished. So temporary systems are with a limited time. For example, that is good only for 5 years. Then after 5 years, then you have to develop again another system. For the permanent system, this is for a long term. Maybe this will be with open system. Maybe for example, it's an open system. Very flexible system. Okay? Because that will depend on the business policies. When the business policies changes, then the system should also change based uh, from the policy of the business. And then we have the natural and manufactured system. Natural system are created by nature, for example, solar system, seasonal system. Manufactured system is man-made system, for example, rockets, dams, trains, robots, and etc. Deterministic and probabilistic system. Deterministic system operates in predictable manner, so you can predict what will happen. For example, two molecules of hydrogen and one molecule of oxygen makes water. Okay, so you can predict because you already know the component. Probabilistic systems shows uncertain behavior, parang hula-hula. Okay, the exact output is not known because of the probability. For example, 50%, 70% probability, and so on. So for example, is the weather forecasting. This one, weather forecasting, mail delivery, and so on the like. Many computer programs are deterministic system because you already know what will be the output. But in machine learning, mostly that is probabilistic system. You can, for forecasting, for example, what will happen tomorrow. It Do you think that it will rain tomorrow or it will be a sunny day tomorrow? So we don't know, but because of the data set, or they call it, yeah, data set or a record or data, from based from the previous data, you can predict already what will happen. Next, social human machine system. I mean, social human machine system. Social systems is made up for people, for example, social clubs, societies. Human machine system, both human and machines are involved to perform particular tasks, for example, computer programming. Machine system is where the human interfaces is neglected and all the tasks are performed by the machine. For example, the autonomous robot. Man-made information system. It is interconnected set of information resources to manage the data for particular organization under direct management control. This system includes the hardware, software, and communication data and application of the for producing information according to the need of organization. Man-made information system. And then we have here the formal information system. It is based on the flow of information in form of memos, instruction, etc. Information informal information system. Is this is employee based system which solves the day-to-day work related problems. And then we have the computer based system. This system is directly dependent on the computer for managing the business application. For example, automatic library system, railway reservation system, banking system, and etc. System models, systematic models. As it is schematic model is a 2D chart. By the way, you will be creating a chart that will show your system. Before you will create a system, you will be you will be creating a chart or a graph later on. So different row are showed to show information flow, material flow, and information feedback. Flow system models. A flow system model shows the orderly flow of the material, energy, and information that holds the system together. Program evaluation and review techniques. Evaluation. So you will be using some evaluation tools so that you can evaluate your system. Then we have the static system model. They represent one pair of relationships such as activity time or cost quality. The Gantt chart, you will be using this one. The static system model is you will be given a specific time, parang for this day, what will I do? And then within 3 to 4 months, the program or the system is already completed 100%. So you will be given a specific time. So activity time relationship. Dynamic system models. Business organization are dynamic system. The dynamic model uh, approximates the type of the organization and application that analysis deal with. Input the enter and it shows the ongoing constantly changing status of the system. It consists of the input that enter the system, the processor through the transformation takes place, programs required for processing, the output that result for processing. Konti na lang. Categories of information. So there are 3 categories of information related to managerial level and the decision managers make. We have the volume information, type of information, column. We have the information level, management level, and support, system support. For the information level, if you can see here the graph, we have the operational information, we have the management control information, and then we have the strategic information. For the operational, ito kasi malawak. Large detail reports, highly structured. For the management level, that is low. And what is DPS? DSS is Decision Support System, Management Information System, and then for the DPS is Data Processing System. Yeah. Uh, Strategic information. This information is required by topmost management for long-range planning policies for the new for for next few years. For example, trends in revenue, financial investment, and human resource and population growth. This type of information is achieved with the aim of decision support system. Um, Example of this system, strategic information system. Law of demand and supply. So what will happen to the market if we have a low supply? 'Di ba pag basically when we have a low supply then the price is high, right? Yeah. So there should be a decision support system, DSS. And then we have the managerial information. This type of information is required by middle management for short and intermediate range planning, which is the term of months. For example, sales analysis, cash flow, projection, and annual financial statement. It is achieved with the aid of management information system. Okay? Yung, what do you call it? Point of sale system, inventory systems. So those are example of managerial information. Operational information. This type of information is required by the low management for daily and short-term planning to enforce day-to-day operational activities. For example, keeping employee attendance record, overdue purchase order, and current stock available. This is achieved with the aid of the data processing system. So more data. Um, Simple system, for example, attendance record, list of students. Okay, operational information. Okay, so that's all for now. We still have time, so it's already uploaded in our Google Classroom. There. Okay, so wait lang ka sa wait. By the way, do you have any question? System integration and architecture. Any question, class? None? Okay, so an overview na lang. I'll give you an overview of what will you be doing. For the final project, you will be grouped again by 3. Why 3? One is the programmer, one is the for the document, and one for the database. Okay, yung isa is for the database, database design, and then one is the programmer, and then another one is the for the document. So by 3. So do you have any question? So like I said, you will be creating a system again. Gumawa na ba kayo ng system nun? Did you created already a system that already presented to your to your instructor class?
Yes, I did last
Uh,
semester.
yeah. So last semester you created a system and then presented that to your instructor. But now the difference is you will be presenting your system together with the manuscript or the document. Okay, so that is the difference. So in preparation to your capstone project, because in your capstone project, we all know that you will be creating another system again for that, and then you have to present also a manuscript or document, and then you will be implementing your system to an organization or to a business. Okay? Any question? None? Okay, sige. For I will be giving you your first activity assignment today. Deadline is Monday, week 2. About uh, assignment. Number 1, I want you to conduct a research about the information system. Define information system. Give examples. B. Give at least 3 examples of information system. And C. Give the features of the system and then bakit ginanong pa? D. Okay, so define information system. B. Give at least 3 example. Number C. Give features of the system. Sige, tatlo muna. Okay. Yan. So, example lang. I'll give you an example. So, I want you to conduct a research about information system. Management Information System, MIS. Tayo mga example. Example lang ng payroll system. Okay, example of this one, payroll system. So, payroll system will, this example has the following features. We have the reporting. The payroll reports to provide a high-level overview of the budget, taxes, works, compensation, and other payroll data. So, this is an example of the feature. Reporting, compliance management. When managing a financial matter, compliance is a necessary consideration. Um, this is more on the analysis part of the system. Reinforce HCM. So these are the example of the features. Another, yan. This is another example of payroll system. Can take. This is the problem. Yan. You have to identify. For example, this one. If you will notice, they identified the problem. Okay, so because payroll is a complex, can take hours away from your core business and lead to costly. So there are some negative words or negative things about the payroll system. Siguro pertaining to the old or the manual transaction of the payroll system. Okay, so costly errors, many small business owners rely on their accountant, automated software system, or third-party contractors to take care of it. So these are the problems. So what are the solution? So the solution are this one. So these are the features of the system. So payroll system must be able to accommodate your employees and their various working hours. The automated system minimizes yan. This is the feature. Automated system minimizes the possibility of human error. If you notice here, there are some human error or errors. So this is a problem. Now here you have the solution. As the only real factor is whether the employee remember the clock in and out. Deduction, record keeping, streamlining. So those are the example of the features. So it depends on you. Maybe you can put some negative things or problems encountered in the system, or you can also give the solution, which is the features of your system. Okay, so that is your activity. Deadline is September 20. So do you have any question with that? Any question? Okay, so I think you don't have any questions. So if you don't have any questions, so please do the activity and then